Over 4 billion years ago, asteroids pounded the planet, volcanoes split the land, and the sky choked on poison. To any living eye, it was hell. But even in this darkness, a secret was forming, something fragile, something defiant. The first whisper of life dared to begin. The ideas, the breakthroughs, the choices that shaped our world reveal how great minds thought, struggled, and built the future. Every lesson, every spark of brilliance is a minting of thought, and every invention, every battle, every vision leaves a trace. I'm Atlas, and I welcome you to a journey where history fuels your growth. This is Mind Mint. Before we begin, subscribe and hit the bell so you never miss a story. And when we're done, leave a like if this chapter sparked your curiosity. Now, let's uncover the details behind today's story. In the beginning, Earth was not a cradle, it was chaos. 3.8 billion years ago, chemistry crossed a line it had never crossed before. Molecules collided, linked, and began to replicate. They copied themselves, over and over. It was fragile, it was improbable, but it would not stop. The first spark of biology flickered in the hostile sea, a flicker that would ignite everything that followed. These first replicators lived on the edge of oblivion. A change in heat, a surge of radiation, a shift in chemistry, and they vanished. Yet some endured, and in enduring, they passed on their pattern. The cycle of heredity was born. The law of life was written: survive or vanish. Life had barely begun when catastrophes struck. For hundreds of millions of years, Earth was bombarded from space. Each impact could have erased everything, but deep in the ocean, hidden in the dark, life clung on, too small to see, too stubborn to kill. To exist was to fight. The first cells waged silent wars, unleashing poisons, acids, and enzymes. Evolution was born in conflict. The adaptable survived. The weak disappeared. 2.5 billion years ago, some microbes unlocked sunlight. They turned it into power. They released oxygen. For us, it means life. For them, it was poison. The air itself became toxic. Ecosystems collapsed. The first great extinction came, not from fire or ice, but from life itself. At least once, maybe more, the world froze over. A snowball planet. For millions of years, Earth was a prison of ice. Life survived only in cracks, vents, and hidden refuges. Against all odds, it endured the long winter. Through endless trials, one invention changed everything: cooperation. Cells fused. They shared tasks. They became eukaryotes, complex, resilient, capable of futures beyond mere survival. Every step forward carried extinction in its shadow. Most lineages vanished, but the strong, or the lucky, survived. Fragile, yet relentless. Through fire, ice, and poison skies, life refused to die. A single cell, smaller than dust, became the ancestor of everything alive today, including you. But this was only the beginning. The harshest trials still lay ahead. 500 million years ago, Earth's oceans exploded with possibility. The Cambrian explosion unleashed a carnival of creatures, forms the world had never seen. Eyes opened for the first time. Predators stalked prey. The silence of ancient seas gave way to a deadly game of innovation. Every creature was an experiment, and every failure vanished forever. With sight came power, and with power, fear. Anomalocaris, swift and merciless, ruled the depths. Armor, speed, and spines became shields in this evolutionary war. For the first time in history, survival was not chance, it was strategy, and extinction stalked those who could not keep up. About 485 million years ago, disaster struck. The oceans, once thriving, suffocated. Oxygen drained away, and life withered. 85% of species disappeared in silence, yet amid ruin, a few endured. From those survivors, life began again. Life's boldest gamble came next, the conquest of land. Plants rooted themselves across continents, turning bare stone into forests. Amphibians followed, dragging their bodies from the sea, tasting air for the very first time. From this moment, Earth would never belong to the oceans alone. 300 million years ago, Earth was transformed into a paradise of giants. Oxygen soared higher than ever again, feeding monsters of the insect world. Dragonflies stretched wider than hawks. Millipedes grew longer than men. The air itself was an engine of growth, building a world both alien and magnificent. But paradise never lasts. Forests that once reached the heavens were consumed by fire. Oxygen fell. The climate shifted. One by one, the towering giants of the Carboniferous fell into silence, their age erased by relentless change. From the ashes, new conquerors emerged. Reptiles, hardened against drought and sun, carried life farther than amphibians ever could. Their eggs shielded in leathery armor, their bodies built for survival, reptiles claimed the land. And with them began a dynasty that would shape Earth's destiny. 252 million years ago came the Great Dying, the deadliest catastrophe life has ever faced. Volcanoes in Siberia drowned continents in fire. Oceans boiled and turned to acid. The air thickened with ash. 90% of all species vanished. Forests collapsed. Reefs dissolved. The Earth stood on the brink of silence. And yet, even in apocalypse, life found a way. Tiny burrowers, creatures overlooked and fragile, endured where the mighty fell. They carried the torch of existence through fire and famine. From them, the seeds of the future were kept alive. Out of devastation, a silence lingered, a planet emptied of its rulers. But silence never lasts. In the distance, shadows moved. Small reptiles, heirs to survival, prepared to rise. The stage was clear for giants. The age of dinosaurs was about to begin. But history's lesson remained. No dynasty, no matter how mighty, is ever safe from extinction. After Earth's greatest catastrophe, life clawed its way back from the ashes. From these humble reptiles, a dynasty would rise, a line that would dominate the planet for nearly 200 million years. The dinosaurs. A new age was dawning, and the stage was theirs. In the Triassic, around 230 million years ago, the first dinosaurs emerged. Small, swift, fragile. They were nothing like the titans we imagine today. But adaptability, cunning, and relentless survival instincts made them unstoppable. The first steps of giants often seem small, yet they echo through eternity. As the supercontinent Pangaea tore itself apart, oceans flooded, climates shifted, and new lands beckoned. Dinosaurs spread into uncharted territories. Evolution accelerated. Predators sharpened claws, herbivores grew armor, and giants, unlike any seen before, began to rise from the soil of a changing world. In the Jurassic, dinosaurs reached their golden age. Massive sauropods, longer than city buses, roamed lush valleys, stretching necks to harvest treetops. Their sheer size was both shield and statement. Every step shook the earth. Every roar reminded the world that they were masters of it. While dinosaurs ruled the land, their cousins claimed the skies. Pterosaurs with wings spanning 30 feet or more soared above oceans, hunting fish and surveying continents below. For the first time, vertebrates truly conquered the air. The planet was theirs, in land, sea, and sky. Predators evolved into perfect hunters. Serrated teeth, powerful jaws, cunning strategies. Dinosaurs became living machines of death. Every meal was a battle. Every sunrise, a test. Survival demanded perfection, and failure meant extinction. And while dinosaurs ruled land and sky, monstrous reptiles ruled the seas. Plesiosaurs with elegant swan-like necks glided gracefully. Mosasaurs, as long as whales, struck terror in every ocean. Earth's waters were as merciless as its forests, as deadly as its plains. But dominance is never permanent. 66 million years ago, Earth convulsed once more. Mega eruptions in what is now India poisoned the skies, collapsing ecosystems. Forests burned, oceans boiled, and from beyond the stars, an even greater terror approached. In a heartbeat, destiny shifted. An asteroid, 6 miles wide, slammed into the Yucatan Peninsula. The impact unleashed power beyond imagination. Billions of atomic bombs detonated at once. Wildfires ignited continents. Tsunamis surged across oceans. Darkness fell for years, extinguishing life as it had never been extinguished before. The giants were gone. 75% of all species vanished. Yet in the shadow of death, a few small feathered dinosaurs endured, the ancestors of birds. Life had lost its rulers, but in their absence, the seeds of a new world were sown. And somewhere, in the quiet corners of a shattered planet, our distant ancestors waited for their chance. When the dinosaurs fell, silence blanketed the earth. For millions of years, shadows ruled, and only the smallest survivors clung to life. Amid the devastation, tiny mammals, once fragile and overlooked, began their quiet inheritance of a world left empty. For 160 million years, mammals had lived in fear. They were nocturnal, timid, scavengers of the night. Yet when the giants vanished, the night became theirs. Stealth and cunning, once survival tools, now opened doors to opportunity. From these small beginnings, mammals diversified rapidly. Fur gave warmth, milk nurtured their young, intelligence allowed them to solve problems their ancestors never could. Humble traits became powerful advantages, shaping a lineage destined for greatness. With the giants gone, daylight no longer spelled danger. Mammals ventured into the sun, exploring forests, plains, and rivers. The world, once forbidden, was theirs to shape, one cautious step at a time. Over millions of years, mammals grew larger, filling the void dinosaurs had left behind. New giants emerged, mammoths with sweeping tusks, towering ground sloths, armored glyptodons. The age of mammals had begun, marked by power and ingenuity. Dominion was not limited to land. Some mammals returned to the oceans, evolving into the first whales. Graceful, massive, and intelligent, they rivaled the great marine reptiles of old, proving that mammals could conquer every corner of the planet. Just as dinosaurs once created terrifying predators, mammals forged their own instruments of death. Saber-toothed cats, with fangs like sharpened daggers, hunted relentlessly. The balance of life demanded both cunning and carnage, and the night once again belonged to predators. Earth's climate was never static. Ice ages rose and fell. Deserts expanded, then faded. Mammals endured, adapted, and thrived. Their resilience became a hallmark of survival, a testament to nature's relentless push forward. Among mammals, one lineage took a remarkable turn. Early primates developed keen vision, dexterous hands, and brains that outgrew their bodies. Small, unassuming, yet full of potential, they carried the spark of something new, consciousness. In the quiet aftermath of extinction, the future of the planet was being rewritten. From these survivors, one day, humans would emerge. The stage was set for life's most unpredictable experiment yet. But survival was never guaranteed. The path ahead was fraught with trials that could have ended everything. 2.5 million years ago, Earth plunged into cycles of ice and thaw. For hundreds of thousands of years, glaciers smothered the land. Life faced a relentless question: adapt or vanish. Colossal beasts endured the cold. Mammoths, armored in thick fur, roamed in herds. Saber-toothed cats with teeth like scythes lurked among the ice. Hunger and frost tested every living creature, shaping evolution with ruthless precision. In this frozen crucible, our ancestors emerged. Homo habilis, the handyman, learned to shape stone, tame fire, and carve fragile footholds in a world determined to erase them. New species arose. Homo erectus, taller, stronger, smarter, spread from Africa to Asia and Europe. They were hunters, explorers, wanderers, fearless in leaving the cradle of their birth. Survival demanded more than strength. Unity became a weapon. Working together, our ancestors accomplished what no lone predator could, turning strategy into survival and survival into legacy. Fire was warmth, safety, and light. It transformed strangers into tribes, and tribes into families bound by survival. In frozen nights, it was more than flame. It was civilization in its infancy. When the ice withdrew, the land blossomed anew. Humans adapted, exploring rivers, forests, and plains, finding fresh food, new shelters, and endless challenges in a changing world. They met creatures stronger, faster, and larger than themselves. Yet through cunning and teamwork, they prevailed. Each hunt was a gamble: survival for the tribe, extinction for the hunter. In the darkness of caves, humans began to imagine. to dream, to tell stories. Creativity flickered like a fragile flame, leaving visions that would outlast time itself. From fire and stone, from ice and hunger, humanity was forged. Yet the greatest challenges lay ahead: drought, famine, and extinction itself. Survival would demand more than strength. It would demand ingenuity, courage, and the birth of civilization itself. 12,000 years ago, humanity made a choice that would change everything. Instead of chasing animals and gathering roots, we bent the land to our will. From the first seeds came the birth of agriculture. With crops to tend, nomads became settlers, villages grew into towns, and towns, in time, became the first cities. Humanity traded freedom for permanence and discovered new challenges in return. Along great rivers, Mesopotamia's twin streams, the life-giving Nile, the Indus, the Yellow River, civilization bloomed. Water was survival, and survival gave birth to culture. With writing, humanity captured memory. Kings recorded power, priests their prayers, merchants their debts. For the first time, knowledge outlived the knower, and stories could shape generations. But civilization brought enemies. Walls rose to keep danger out. Weapons grew sharper to protect or conquer. Conflict became as common as the harvest, and the stakes of survival grew higher. From fire and ore came bronze, harder, stronger, more enduring than stone. It armed warriors, shaped plows, and carved the future. Humanity entered the Bronze Age, a world of both creation and destruction. Faced with floods, droughts, and storms, people sought meaning in the skies. Myths were born, gods were feared, and religion became the thread that bound societies together. Power expanded beyond villages and valleys. Kingdoms swallowed kingdoms. The first empires rose, vast, brutal, and fragile, built on conquest and control. Progress came with a price. Fields demanded endless labor. Kings demanded tribute. And while monuments reached toward the heavens, countless lives were ground into the earth below. Humanity had transformed. From hunters in the wild to builders of cities, we stood on the edge of something greater. But every civilization carried within it the seeds of collapse. The question was no longer whether we could survive the wild, but whether we could survive ourselves. From the dawn of the first empires, ambition knew no limits. Kingdoms became vast dominions. Roads, armies, and trade routes stitched the world together, but at a cost of blood. Rome mastered the art of survival. Through discipline, engineering, and law, it forged a superpower that would endure for centuries. Yet even Rome's greatness was fragile, vulnerable to the unseen cracks beneath its marble. In Athens, ideas burned brighter than armies. Philosophy, democracy, science, seeds planted in stone courtyards would one day shape the entire world, proving that power is not only built with swords, but with thought. In the East, dynasties rose and fell. The Middle Kingdom built walls against invaders and opened roads of silk that carried wealth, knowledge, and even disease across continents. Connectivity brought prosperity and peril. Empires battled not only each other, but enemies too small to see. The plague struck Athens, smallpox ravaged Rome, and pestilence swept trade routes. Survival became a lottery of immunity, testing humanity in ways no army could. Even the mightiest empire could be humbled by nature's fury. Volcanoes, quakes, and famines reminded humanity that control was always an illusion and that the earth obeys no king. In the 5th century, Rome collapsed, not in a single night, but through centuries of decay, corruption, invasions, and exhaustion. The eternal city proved mortal after all, a lesson that power is fleeting. While empires fell, memory survived. In monasteries and libraries, monks and scholars guarded fragments of lost worlds, keeping the flame of knowledge alive through the darkness, ensuring that humanity could rise again. Every collapse carried human stories, forgotten villages, broken dynasties, entire cultures erased. Yet from each fall, survivors adapted, rebuilt, and moved forward, proving resilience as the quiet force of history. Humanity had conquered continents, but every triumph carried its shadow. Each empire believed itself eternal, and each learned the same truth: nothing lasts forever. And as one world ended, another waited to be born, forged in fire, plague, and faith. After each collapse, humanity rebuilt. From the ashes of Rome to the rise of new kingdoms, survival became our greatest invention. curiosity pushed humans across oceans. The 15th century marked the age of exploration, risky voyages that rewove the world together with trade, conquest, and exchange. Yet survival had its price. Smallpox and measles carried by explorers decimated entire peoples, reshaping continents in waves of invisible war. From presses and telescopes, a revolution of thought emerged. Science gave humanity tools not just to survive nature, but to challenge it. The 18th century lit a furnace. Coal, machines, and industry reshaped life at breakneck speed, multiplying wealth, cities, and dangers. In our hunger for power, we perfected destruction. Gunpowder, steel, and nuclear fire brought humanity to the brink. Yet even then, we endured. Science became shield and sword. Vaccines defeated plagues, rockets carried us beyond Earth, and technology offered survival against threats once unimaginable. Yet survival remains uncertain. Climate change, pandemics, and extinction remind us that our fight never ended. The planet is both cradle and test of endurance. For 3,800,000,000 years, life has faced trial after trial. From fire in the skies to plagues in the streets, survival has always demanded change. We are the survivors of survivors, heirs to every triumph, every narrow escape. The lesson of history is clear. Extinction is the rule, survival the exception. And now, it is our turn to decide whether the story continues. And so, dear listener, that's where today's story ends. Let's continue walking the path of great minds and moments together. Remember, every great mind was once just curious. Stay curious, and I'll see you in the next chapter of Mind Mint. Goodbye.